The colony ship Exodus had been dying for 3 weeks when navigator James Walsh made the decision that would reshape an entire ecosystem. The nearest habitable world wasn't on any chart, but it was their only chance. 23 survivors made it to the escape pods. Only James made it to the surface of Kepler, 442d alive. The planet was a paradise by most measures. Lush forests, breathable atmosphere, abundant water. It was also home to the Valkyrie, a species of herbivorous aliens who had never known the concept of a food chain. On Kepler, 442d, everything ate plants. Plants were plentiful. Conflict was unnecessary. Until James arrived. The Valkyrie who found him assumed he was another herbivore, slightly strange-looking, but harmless. They offered him processed vegetation and were confused when he politely declined. James, 3 days without food and growing desperate, asked a question that would echo through Valkyrie history. "Do you have anything else?" Elder Thorn, the settlement's leader, didn't understand. "Else? What else is there?" James looked at the herds of large, slow-moving creatures grazing in the distance. They looked remarkably like cattle, if cattle had 6 legs and crystalline horns. Those animals. Would you mind if I hunted one? The word hunt didn't translate properly. The closest Valkyrie equivalent meant to gather with difficulty. What happened next became known as the Great Revelation. James fashioned a spear from local materials, a skill humans had carried since the Stone Age. The Valkyrie watched with academic curiosity as this strange alien approached one of the grazers, something they called a moru. They expected him to perhaps try to carry it or lead it somewhere. They did not expect him to kill it with brutal efficiency. The moru's death cry brought every Valkyrie running. They stared in horror as James field-dressed the carcass with Humans were omnivores, that his body needed proteins and fats that plants alone couldn't provide, that this was natural for his species. Natural. The word hung in the air like a confession. "You mean," Elder Thorn said slowly, "on your world, creatures eat other creatures?" "Not just creatures," James replied, now roasting meat over a fire. Another concept the Valkyrie had never needed. "We have entire ecosystems built on it. Predators, prey, competition, adaptation." The revelation spread through the Valkyrie civilization like wildfire. For the first time in their evolutionary history, they understood that the universe contained species that survive by consuming other living beings. The philosophical implications were staggering, but the practical implications were even more profound. Within a month, James noticed the local wildlife behaving differently around him. The moru, once placid and indifferent, would flee at his scent. Smaller creatures that had approached him curiously now kept their distance. Even the planet's massive thornbacks, 6-ton herbivores with armor plating, would lumber away when he passed. The animals had learned what the Valkyrie already knew. Something new had entered their world, something that didn't follow the old rules. A predator. The Valkyrie began calling him Walker of the Red Path, a poetic way of describing his bloody approach to survival. They watched in fascination as he taught himself to track, to hunt, to read the behavior of prey animals. Skills that humans had refined over millions of years were alien superpowers here. "Do you feel guilt?" Elder Thorn asked one evening, watching James prepare his kill. "For taking life to sustain your own?" James considered the question carefully. "My people learn to honor what we hunt, to waste nothing, to take only what we need." He looked at the elder directly. "On my world, we're not the only predators. We learned to survive in a universe that was trying to eat us. That made us strong, maybe too strong. And now you are the strongest thing on our world," Thorn observed. James nodded slowly. It was true. Without natural predators, without competition, without any species that had evolved to fight or flee, he had become the apex by default. A human, not even a particularly large or strong one, was the most dangerous creature on an entire planet. "I could teach you," James offered, "not to hunt, necessarily, but to understand it, to defend yourselves, should others like me arrive with less restraint." Elder Thorn's expression was unreadable. You would teach us to become predators? I would teach you to survive in a universe where predators exist. The Valkyrie Council debated for 7 days. In the end, they agreed. Not because they wanted to hunt, but because James had shown them a terrifying truth. The universe was far more